Hey fellow patriots, it's Bravo Echo here, Hope for Survival, and we've spent the last few days here at Heritage Life Skills in Waynesville, North Carolina, teaching preparedness classes and all different kinds of classes, and I've had the opportunity to meet some awesome people with great backgrounds and experience. I actually crossed paths with Jim, and Jim and I met a few weeks ago here at a store in the local community in Western North Carolina, and Jim came out to the event this weekend, and he agreed to come on camera and talk to me some, because Jim has a background with experience that is critical, I do believe, and so important to folks in the preparedness world when we start talking about understanding the human being and survival. And Jim is a resident here of the local Waynesville local homeless shelter. Okay, and Jim, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
And for all of our conversations before this. So how long have you been at the shelter here?
Off and on for the past 2 years.
Okay, and prior to that?
I had an apartment of my own, and due to unforeseen circumstances, I got a major water leak, which ended up being sewer. And my landlord said, "I'm going to redo your entire bathroom, you need to move." And with the housing the way that it is right now in the county that I live in, there is no housing anymore. We had a big flood happen.
Yeah, I remember.
And everybody moved from that section of the county into the section that there was housing. And right now, that was before my sewage leak, but now I'm homeless.
Okay, and you spend your nights at the local shelter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's a hardened facility?
Hardened as in, what do you?
A structure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it sure is.
And there's...
We are a Christian-based homeless shelter.
Okay. What has, in your opinion, what has been probably the most eye-opening lesson learned as far as the other people that you share the shelter with?
The amount of people that are homeless, the age bracket of everybody from early 20s. I believe we have had some like 19, 20-year-olds, all the way up into late 70s, possibly even early 80s living there.
And is this a shelter they can bring their children to?
Yes, we do have a family. Yes, we have a segregated unit that is the family dorm. We have a male dorm, a female dorm, and then a family dorm for basically mothers with children. We do have some fathers that have stayed there. A lot of times it is single females with children that need a place to go. Unfortunately, but I don't think a child should ever have to go through that.
From your conversations with the other residents, just kind of what are some or a majority employed on the outside? They're just homeless.
I'm going to say
are they looking for work, or
everybody is required to look for work. I would say 50% of us have jobs to go to, just can't find housing. The other 50%, they, like I said, they are required to look for a job in order to continue with their housing. Some, I hate to say it, some want to, some don't.
To look for the job?
Yes.
Yeah. Are they content?
They're content being homeless right now because that's all they know.
Yeah.
In this little community that we live in here in Western North Carolina, there are people that are completely content to be homeless. and live the rest of their lives like that because that's all they know.
Is a lot of that because, other than it's all they know, is it just simply a lack of self-confidence, of getting outside the system that they're secure in and going out and trying to build upon, finding a job?
You're exactly right.
Finding a home.
People that's all they know, that's what's secure to them. Where other people, we want to work, pay for either rent or mortgage, and these people, some of them don't know what that's like.
From the inside, what do you believe, just a kind of a overall generic opinion from the inside, what do you think is the overall opinion of the people in there of what they're seeing on the outside? Are they scared, or are they challenged, or are they losing hope, or?
Some of them are scared. Some of them are challenged to, they don't really understand what's going on. They have no clue in reality. Some of them are just, they're going about their lives one meal at a time, basically.
Surviving.
Yes. Doing the best they can, wherever they can get it and however they can get it.
Yeah, and and a lot of that, even with folks who have apartments, homes, so many citizens are so financially strapped to surviving payday to payday, they really miss what's going on in the world and what's driving these issues and problems, that they're now paying twice the amount for food. They're now not able to pay for health care or to get medicinal needs. Their paycheck is buying them 60% of what it made of a year ago. So this is the problem on the outside with people that they do have shelters, regardless of the type. But if we're seeing that much on the outside, I can only imagine the feeling on the inside, the fear.
There's fear,
I'm never going to get past.
You're exactly right. They are scared, and that is one thing that most people that are homeless will not let anybody else know. They just will not let you know, I'm scared.
It shows weakness.
It does.
Especially to the others on the inside.
Yes, and
you can't be weak.
You can't be weak in that kind of a community. Yeah. I mainly I saw everybody at one time. Right now, I'm seeing basically the men, and the men around here will not open up and ask for help. They have gotten into the point of, I'll make it on my own. And
how many of the folks that you are in touch with, that you know, how many of them are from Western North Carolina, or how many of them are from outside of North Carolina that have transited here? Would you guess?
Just off my guessing, I would say 85% of the people are from right here.
This is home.
In this county.
Do they have families here?
Some do, some don't.
Because I know you had told me that you're pretty much on your own.
Yes, I've lost all my family, and due to passing, and I don't have many friends because I was always very family oriented, and so right now I'm in the process of, well, who do I meet?
Yeah.
And it's like we were talking, and you have to vet people because not everybody's good. You can't accept everybody.
Take advantage of you.
Yeah, they either take advantage of you, or they end up not being the type of, I hate to say this, but character.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You gotta pay attention to what people are saying and the way they're acting. And
or they set you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're at the shelter, your environment's pretty controlled.
Yes, sir. It is. We wake up at a certain time. We have to be out of the dorms at a certain time, whether it be to go to work or to go out and find jobs, or basically go and try to take care of yourself the best way that you know how. We do have classes and things like that that are available.
What kind of classes?
We have AA classes.
Yeah.
We have what's called peer support specialists, and they can point different people into the right direction if they need, like Narcotics Anonymous, housing, clothing, getting them help to get food stamps if that's what they need.
Support mechanism.
Support, yeah, it's a support system. And then we have to be back on campus at a certain time.
So the folks who do not want to get out of the shelter system life, where do they go during the day when they have to leave?
They just go and hang out wherever they want to hang out. And there is a certain time limit that you have. And then basically, it's, you haven't been doing what you were supposed to do, so we're sorry, but we need your room for somebody that will.
Yeah. So you can only stay there for X amount of time?
Yes, sir.
How long do you get?
6 months at the start, and then you can get extensions, and that is up to the administration of the facility.
How many, if you know, how many or what percentage would you say at 6 months leaves and goes to another style of homeless life, or just leaves the area, finds a way to leave the area, and they go into another homeless?
What I have noticed myself around this area, a lot of people will go out and live on the streets until a certain period of time goes through, and then they can come back to the shelter again.
So Waynesville is relatively I love it here. Waynesville is relatively a small community, but I've been keeping track of the homeless numbers for probably at least 10 years, roughly, around the United States. In major cities of 500,000 or bigger. And I've noticed year by year, and sometimes every 6 months, but I've noticed the numbers that are drastically increasing. And many of these people are 6-digit income earners. For whatever reason, they and their spouse and children, or whatever the makeup is, that they become homeless.
Yes.
In large cities. And when you look at the homeless, not shelter, but the homeless camps, the tent cities, in like Minneapolis, Detroit, Cleveland, Seattle, in the wintertime, when the river's near, because I notice a lot of the tent cities are near water.
Yes.
Right? And there's ice on the water. Right? But I've noticed they're just drastically increasing in size. And I know sometimes, I have found stories, right? They make that choice and just go, I'm going to live in my car for 6 months, and they still have jobs. They don't want to end up in a shelter, right? For whatever reason. So it's often fear.
It is.
But their rent gets raised, and they can no longer afford it. So they just take that step. They sell everything they own. They move in, and they set up a process to live in their vehicle or a van or whatever. And there's like these vehicle parks.
Yes.
That are
in the larger cities there
like
are
homeless camps.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And I have some friends out in another city in the southern U.S. that are like-minded to what you've been going through in classes all weekend in preparedness and survival. And they actually, we converse about it a lot, but they actually go down to the local homeless tent city right? And they go there, and there's one or two or so individuals. They go there, and they may take some hot food to them, but they will spend hours with them, learning from them.
Yes.
Right, and I've talked to you about it a little bit, and that is the human factor of human predictability, right, in settings of trying to understand how individuals by name, but their personalities and how they tick, what makes them tick, the psychological side of when I close my eyes and go to sleep. Who could potentially be a threat to me?
Yes.
Or to steal my stuff. Because in many of these cases, these individuals may only own to their name what they have in a bag.
That's exactly right.
Right? And feeling safe, but also building bonds of trust with other individuals that you all are watching each other's back. But I've also heard stories of how one can turn on the other, and then there's like this clash. Can you talk about that, Eddie?
Clashes at the shelter that I've been in, it's the only one I've ever been in, really don't happen. There are some verbal arguments that happen. Personalities. There can be little things that happen, but as far as physical, I've never seen it happen.
Awesome.
Most of the people that I've been around are pretty decent people. I have been out in my car. I lived in my car for 6.5 months at one time. I was petrified to go back to the shelter only because I had caught COVID twice, which is something else that keeps people out. Large groups of people,
right.
They just, for 6.5 months, I didn't want to go near anybody. I mean, the biggest place I would go is Walmart to try to get something to eat.
So where did you park your car at amongst other?
In the parking lot.
By yourself, alone, by yourself?
Alone by myself. I would try to get away from people. Walmarts around here will let you sleep in their parking lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is one place that's under street lights, parking lot lights.
Yeah.
But you still, everybody kind of, I got to know the people that were living in the cars. Rest area out on the highway. There's a rest area that I used to stay at sometimes.
Did you fear them, or did you trust them to an extent?
I didn't trust them at all.
In the rest area?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
If I didn't know them from the shelter,
Yeah.
I did not trust them. I would not turn my backs on.
It's not a good way, but even more, it's not a healthy way or a psychologically healthy way.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. What I put myself through was, my mind was gone.
So one of the things we talk about when we're teaching people preparedness and societal breakdowns, and we talk about human beings, and we talk about how many different things can impact a human psychologically, from not being properly hydrated, disease, death of a loved one, stress, all different kinds of undetected brain diseases, from deficiencies, not self-imposed, but deficiencies, and then you have the whole side of any kind of addiction of any type, how it impacts. But as going forward, as things get worse, that it appears there are, and society starts breaking down, and there's more and more and more homeless people who become homeless for whatever reason, you're taking them out of their comfort, right? Their air-conditioned and heated homes and their 3 meals a day. You're taking them out of their comfort zone, and they say, yeah, I understand. I watched it, I read about it, right? But when you take them out of that comfort area and you now put them in Jim's life, the reality that's going to hit them that there are people around them who are also homeless for whatever cause, that can be a threat to them.
That's exactly right.
There's 3 people and there's 1 hot dog.
Yep.
How are you going to best fare with these 2 individuals who have, say, been homeless for 6 months or a year, and you're homeless for a week?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you try to be nice and say, well, we'll cut it into thirds. And the other guy stand there saying, I don't think you get it. I'm going to actually take the whole hot dog.
Yep.
And you're going to let me. Right? What's your thoughts on that? Is it overblown? Is it underperceived? My primary background is in psychology.
Yes.
And then a lot of years in the military, studying threats, and part of that is studying people, right? And I look at trends, and I look at history, and trying to understand the brain, how the brain works when it's deficient or it's impacted by changes. Stress, weakens us. I can sit and tell you all day the flag's red, white, and blue. It gets old.
Yeah.
It's easier to learn by talking to people who are living it.
Yes.
Right? So what would you offer?
As of right now, with where I'm at, I don't really feel I have to worry too much. There are some in this area, I'm sure, that could potentially do what you just said. But right now, I know a lot of people try to help each other that are out there. I don't really know them myself because I became a loner that 6.5 months. And I was blessed enough to where I could make it. Now, I probably couldn't make it in reality, being out by myself.
Because?
Financial.
Okay, that's understandable.
It's financial. I had the finances in the past to where I could make it. But once the finances ran out, I was lost.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what to do.
Yeah. So when you take thousands and hundred thousands of people who may be in the same position, who are struggling physically and psychologically, of how am I going to better the situation to get out of this, and there's fewer and fewer jobs and fewer available affordable homes. How, from where you are, how do you see this playing out? Good, bad, maybe good?
Maybe.
I know it's good to be hopeful.
Yeah, and I try to be
hopeful.
Affordable housing is one of the hardest things right now in this area. And I'm sure it's the same way in the larger cities as well.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
We have a new affordable housing place coming up, getting ready to open, and they said that the affordable housing is $1,000 a month. Well, people that are living basically disabilities, how are they going to make that when they won't? Well, they don't even bring home $1,000 a month.
Right.
They're bringing home like $900 and something each month, from what I've heard. People that will openly say how much they make, and they're going to be in the shelter for the rest of their lives.
So with that in mind, and how that makes you feel, when you're living in a country that will pay, in some states, they will pay a woman to have more babies as long as there's no father in the picture. The more babies, the more money.
We're in one of those states right now.
How does that make you feel?
A little bitter. I do know that the children need to be taken care of 100%, but
are they?
It should not. I don't think so. I think they're the bare minimum is what's happening.
They're pawns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mother and those children will be in the system probably for their entire life period.
So even with So even with these things kind of stacked against you, you're still trying to stay positive. You're still trying to take steps ahead to get out of the shelter, right? And many of these things would be enough to make you sit down under a shade tree and just close your eyes, right? But through these processes, it does help you build strength and hope. Even sometimes when you get kicked and knocked down, you know the only way out of this situation is I have to stand back up and go for it.
Yes,
right?
you have to be strong, and you have to be a fighter. And you're not fighting anybody out on the streets or anything. You're fighting for survival.
Which is often not people, it's a system.
It is
that
a system
being stacked against you that they think money will fix the problem. So one of the interesting things is you've been here this weekend going through these classes. What's your take? What did you gather to this point? What did you gather out of classes you went through? First share what you told me this morning when I talked to you about your perception of the people who are here.
One of the things, and this is one of the biggest things that I want to talk to Bill and Jan about, is how nice everybody was. How
Were you surprised?
Welcoming. Yes, I was. I expected everybody to be really standoffish from each other.
Right, upset.
Yeah,
loner,
I'm gonna go sit over here in the corner with my people.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around any of these other people. But they were all very welcoming and extremely nice, polite, respectful.
That was one of the biggest lessons I learned years ago when I came here to teach. I had talked to Miss Jan when I first met her. I love her like family, and Bill. I kind of retired military. I came here with the mindset that I'm going to be around a bunch of camo wearing, dirt eating, low crawling, long haired ponytail. We're like full-time preppers with a capital P. And that was one of the biggest things I learned. Most of them are retired professionals or still working as professionals.
Yes.
There's some extremely intelligent people, and you're like, wow, what is it they see that's going on out there in our country that would drive them here to have this mindset of, wow, I need to put back. And they're still being nice people.
Yes.
Right? Because we're in it together.
Yeah.
No matter, there's people here that I know of from as far as Oklahoma that came in with their family. Every year they come here from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He taught some classes for us this year. And it's like a family reunion here.
I can see it happening.
You and I started coming out here to do this video an hour ago.
Yes.
And you saw every step I took, there were people wanting to talk.
Yep.
Most of these are people I've known for years, and they come back here for more training. But it's like a family reunion. And that bond through the year, from now till next year, that bond is like this.
Yes.
Right? We stay in touch, we communicate, we talk about training, and that bond continues. It's a trust factor, right? That is so important, especially during the last 3 years we went through with COVID.
Yes.
People staying active, they didn't have to be together, but we were continuing to educate their brains and so forth. But one of the biggest things I noticed this weekend that really through our conversations and things going on, I'm an observer. And even though you probably witness me yakking to people all the time, I'm still observing what's around me. And one of the things that really stood out to me this weekend was this afternoon, and we had a church service, and you were there.
Yes, sir, it was.
So tell me about that.
I was born and raised a Christian.
Amen.
And
amen.
I slipped away from it in my later teenage years. I'm not happy about what I did and the way my mindset was.
We're all sinners.
But I came back to it.
We're all sinners.
And it's something that if I don't have anything in life, I have God. And I can always walk to a church if I need to. And I need to do it more often.
They never shut their doors.
No.
You know, it's like footprints in the sand. You know.
Yep.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
But you were in there, and there was a lady sitting right in front of me, who I had talked to earlier that morning, one-on-one, and she shared with me she had not been in a church or anything religious in 33 years.
I can understand
And
that.
she was in that church service this morning.
Yep.
So it is a really special weekend. That more than anything.
Well, that's one
Because
thing
we're
that,
getting through this other crap.
yeah.
To hopefully get to, to eventually get to eternal life whenever that time may come. But there's so many people here who, of all walks of life, there's so many people here who are there for each other.
Yep.
Whether it's just to listen.
Yeah, and one thing that really impressed me when I saw the itinerary was that there was a church service.
Yeah.
I spoke to a friend of mine, one of the people in our administration office, and told her, I said, they're actually going to have a church service.
That was the most important thing the whole weekend.
It probably, not probably, it was.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sitting there in this service, and yesterday was great. Friday night we've had great speakers. It's great to see everyone from the different locations. But I'm sitting there listening to Pastor Sparks' message, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I wish these moments would never end.
Yeah.
There's no world. There's no world in here.
I could
There's
do
no
that
world.
right there forever.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's a great message, right? We stopped the world, stopped everything to come in and give thanks and to worship. We had good class. We got to do lunches together with like-mindedness. It's like there's no world. There's no negative news. There's no crime. Right? So
it's kind of, some people would call it silly, but to me, in a little bit of a way, it was time for me to not think about me turning on the TV or picking up my cell phone and watching the news. Although I need to, just to get away from that negativity for a little bit. 3 days, 2.5 days.
Doom and gloom.
Yeah, and although I will have to go back into doom and gloom, I need to know, and that's one of the things I learned about this. I learned your class this afternoon. I was like, really? I can go to that website and find out that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I never knew about that, and I'm 54 years old.
Yeah.
It was amazing to me.
Oh yeah.
I was just sitting there going,
But it tells you the world around us is asleep. And in the years we've been asleep, we've basically been bamboozled. And what we once thought they were the good guys, they have basically sold us out to big tech and corporations for higher payoffs. And they basically left us here in the middle of the ocean with a boat and no oars.
Yep.
And we've all got to figure out how we're going to get this boat going the right direction. And you can't do it by yourself. It is going to take all of us.
Just go home and get you some rest.
Drive safe.
Drive
safe. We basically have all got to find an oar, take an oar, and we've all got to work at the same.
we do.
Right.
And
No matter
that's where
we
it's-
are or what our life situation is.
Yeah.
So, in closing, what would you say to all the folks out there who are living in their comforts, wherever they may be? What would you offer to them? Not to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. I would just say to them that are living in their comfort, open your eyes. there's a whole nother world out there that it's obviously that a lot of people don't see it, or they don't want to see it, possibly. They're hiding from the fact. I did myself at one time in my life. And maybe it was the grace of God that kicked me in my butt and said, look, there's something else out there. Where that's going to lead me to now, I don't have a clue. And I'm scared. I'll be honest with you, I'm scared. But I know there's something else out there for me. I just hope and pray I stay safe. It's getting sketchy. It really is. But you keep your head on a swivel, so to say.
We use that word.
Yep. You keep your head on a swivel and keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
I appreciate you spending time with us, and more so, it's been an absolute privilege meeting you at the store and then getting to spend time here chatting some.
Yes.
And
I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and an honor to meet you.
I come down to the store in Waynesville to Jan and Bill's probably once or twice a month just to see them. So maybe our paths will cross in there.
I'm sure they will.
But if you have any questions or anything we can do for you to help you, I know right now it's hard for you to get prepared. You have priorities you have to address. And as far as preparing for you to put stuff out, but if there's anything at all we can do for you, please.
Thank you so much.
Maybe when we do this next year, we'll see you here again.
I hope so.
And you can bring some people with you.
That would be good.
Yeah. And you can then tell them, hey, this is what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because you'll now have a year under your belt. Right?
Yeah, and I have a lot to learn still.
Yeah. Hey, we're all learning.
Yep. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. Till next time, stay safe, be blessed. If you haven't subscribed, hit the button, ding, and we'll see you next time. And blessings. Bravo Echo out.